Here's more wrestling news for August 15th, 2021. And your headlines for this afternoon include: current WWE NXT roster is not believing in Triple H anymore. Reputation is damaged. More releases in December 2021. WWE has big announcement planned for live event this weekend. ROH gets in on the Teasing signing WWE releases game. I think that's just ridiculous. Bobby Lashley urges released superstars not to badmouth WWE. When Fuego del Sol really received his AEW contract. Kenny Omega feels cheated and disrespected after loss on AEW Rampage. Chelsea Green in talks with another pro wrestling company. AEW wrestler fires back at fans who invaded his privacy. Mini ECW reunion takes place at AEW Rampage. Roman Reigns recalls Stephanie McMahon's reaction after WrestleMania 32 spear, and more. We're starting today with Triple H, whose tenure as head of NXT is apparently coming to an end. It was last week that the Gold brand lost a total 13 names, all of which were released by Vince McMahon, and Triple H wasn't even aware of the cuts until they were already happening. It's been reported that many in WWE, namely the game's enemies in the company, are blaming him as the sole reason for NXT losing the Wednesday Night Wars, and it seems this belief is starting to stick with some very important people. According to reports, Triple H and Vince McMahon aren't seeing eye to eye, and haven't since last week's releases, as the game made big promises to those superstars before they were cut, and those promises obviously didn't come true. The fact that these releases happened without the game's knowledge or consent has reportedly killed his reputation with the remaining NXT roster, many of whom now believe that they can't trust the WWE COO, as he's clearly not in charge of the Gold brand. Now Triple H is maintaining distance from talent, and that may be a permanent position for the 14-time WWE World Champion. In follow-up reports, it said that WWE is planning for more, quote, major releases by December 2021, and that the plan is for remaining talent in NXT to be moved to a developmental ground more akin to OVW, a developmental ground Triple H isn't expected to lead. It's also expected that Triple H will be out of NXT by the end of this year, bringing his near 10 years as head of the Gold brand to an end. Since rebranding into its own show in 2012, NXT helped create some of WWE's biggest moments, such as the debuts of Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, and Shinsuke Nakamura, but now the Gold brand's days are numbered. Over to the main roster now, as ahead of last night's live event in Charlotte, a big announcement was promised by Fox 46 anchor Casey Jones, and we know what it'll be. Later on, Jones revealed that the New Year's Eve edition of SmackDown will be coming to Charlotte and shared a photo of herself alongside Byron Saxton. This is a huge win for the Queen City, and we'll have to see what happens on the final SmackDown of this unique year in 4 months' time. More release news now, as a total of 13 names were cut from NXT last week, but they may not be out of work for long. After a 30-day non-compete clause, this group will be able to go anywhere, and now ROH are teasing some big signings. On a recent blog on the company's website, writer Kevin Eck got the ball rolling, saying, "I'm hearing that some talented wrestlers who were recently released from another organization could be appearing at Death Before Dishonor. Let the speculation commence." If that wasn't clear enough, the ROH official Twitter got to the point, name-dropping NXT and asking who fans would like to see from the recent crop of releases compete for them. With last week's releases being on August 6th, any 30-day non-compete clause will expire before ROH's Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view on September 12th, and it'll be interesting to see who from NXT, if anyone, shows up. Back to WWE, and the almighty WWE champion Bobby Lashley isn't going anywhere anytime soon, but that doesn't mean he hasn't seen a ton of talent be released. During his 166-day reign, WWE have cut the likes of Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, The Iconics, Andrade, and Aleister Black, and in an interview with Sportskeeda, Lashley gave his advice to anyone who loses their jobs. Never burn bridges. I think a lot of times, people leave the wrestling business or leave one organization and feel the need to badmouth, and I think that's just ridiculous. Lashley added that these superstars should remember that they made their name and money from WWE and also gave the fans something to think about. The fans need to understand that you see somebody that's fighting one organization or the other. Just don't even pay attention to them. As a fan, walk away from them because they don't understand what the wrestling business is about. Lashley himself knows what it's like to be released from WWE, but returned in 2018 after a decade away to capture the WWE title. It's hard to deny Lashley's success since returning, and we'll have to see if the superstars who were recently let go heed his advice in case they're ever given the chance to return to Vince McMahon's promotion. AEW news now, as this week's premiere of Rampage saw Fuego del Sol challenge AEW TNT champion Miro for the title, with the bonus that if Fuego won, he'd earn an AEW contract. Despite losing, Fuego was given a contract by his friend Sammy Guevara in a very emotional moment in the ring, and now we know that he actually inked his contract with AEW a few weeks ago. Fuego del Sol has a losing record on AEW TV, but that didn't stop his drive, and fans will get to see much more of him as a contracted AEW wrestler. AEW Rampage was a night that Kenny Omega would rather forget, as he lost the Impact World Championship to Christian Cage in the show's opening match. A high-octane match, no one expected Cage to win, which makes this victory all the better, and needless to say, Omega isn't happy about the result. On Twitter, The Cleaner said he feels disrespected and cheated, warning that the entire AEW roster is on notice after his loss this week. This week's Rampage marked Omega's first loss in AEW since the May 5th Blood and Guts Dynamite special, where he and MT Nakazawa lost to Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley, and with Christian also set to challenge for Omega's AEW Championship at All Out, the new Impact World Champion may have the belt collector's number on September 5th. Earlier this year, Chelsea Green was released by WWE, but the hot mess has been keeping busy since her departure. Appearing in Impact and ROH, Green is also set to work the upcoming NWA Empower event as well, all while she recovers with a cast on her wrist. According to a report from Fightful, Green's wrestling tour isn't just with these three companies, as she's also expressed a desire to work in AAA, but that hasn't worked out yet due to travel restrictions. For all her many appearances in many promotions, Green hasn't signed an official deal anywhere, and is said to be working on pre-date arrangements thus far. Considering how close she is to many members of the AEW roster, it's interesting that she's steered clear of the All Elite promotion, but she's more than happy to keep appearing with as many companies as she can now that she's out of WWE. More from AEW, as Adam Page is taking a hiatus from the company right now, and he's slated to miss the All Out pay-per-view on September 5th. At Fight for the Fallen, Page and the Dark Order lost to the Elite, with the stipulation being that Page wouldn't get an AEW World title match should he lose. Interestingly, Page was never in the plans to main event All Out, and the Hangman is now breaking his silence on Twitter. In a tweet, Page addressed his absence from AEW programming and hit back at fans who didn't respect his privacy, saying, "Thank you to everyone who respected my privacy these past few months, and a big eat my ass to those who chose not to. I'm madder than hell, and you know what I'm coming for when I get back." What Page is coming for is unquestionably the AEW World Championship, and we're excited to see him finally get his shot. But for now, the Hangman is happy to be at home with his pregnant wife as they wait for the arrival of their first child. Page didn't appear at AEW Rampage, but several big names were backstage, which led to a mini ECW reunion behind the scenes. On social media, a photo was shared of AEW commentator Taz, alongside AEW producer Jerry Lynn, and AEW digital director and fellow ECW alum Jeff Jones. The trio were joined by fellow ECW stars Tommy Dreamer and Shane Douglas in an epic reunion of the Hardcore Company. Neither Dreamer nor Douglas have a role with AEW, though Dreamer, a member of Impact's creative team, was probably there to oversee the Impact World title change, and the five men created one epic photo opportunity backstage at Rampage. And we're ending with the Universal Champion Roman Reigns, whose career has seen various highs and lows, often at the same time. One such instance was when Reigns captured the WWE World Championship in the main event of WrestleMania 32, which should have been a huge night for him if the fans weren't booing the then babyface with a passion. During that match with Triple H, a spot occurs where Reigns inadvertently spears Stephanie McMahon, And during an interview with Ginny Traina of Sports Illustrated, the Tribal Chief discussed the dynamic after the match. "She took it like a champ, she did a great job, and I didn't really pull any of the physicality out. She took a full-on spear, and that's how you do it in the main event of WrestleMania. She was obviously a little bit sore and not very happy about that, but I think everybody after a main event of a WrestleMania is ecstatic going through that process, and the adrenaline rush of the performance, and then also celebrating a phenomenal moment with the live audience, everybody watching at home. It was one of those things that I think she got over really quickly and enjoyed the success of being a part of that main event with her husband Triple H. And then also, I think, for her to be a part of that performance with her own father watching on, Vince McMahon, and seeing this whole spectacle go down, and watching her be a part of the greatest live event in entertainment history, it was a special moment, I think, for everybody. I'll say she wasn't ecstatic, but I think she was happy with the moment to be a part of that. Reigns won the match, but it'd be many years, and a shocking heel turn later, that fans would get on board with the head of the table. Now Reigns is one of wrestling's most popular stars, having earned the respect of the fans, but it was Stephanie McMahon who earned his respect in 2016, taking a hellacious spear at WrestleMania 32. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.